Hello, you're watching Hornbill TV. Nagaland is amongst some few states in India who can boast about being a dry state or a state that prohibits liquor or mudu. But the reality is better understood by the citizens of the state, and maybe at least for the state of Nagaland, the term dry state can have unique definitions because Nagaland has always been a unique state. The Nagaland Total Liquor Prohibition Act of 1989 has always been a major and very interesting topic of discussions around dinner tables or peer talk, but not a very approachable topic to be discussed in the public domain, citing flack for holding such preposterous views and statewide condemnations. But in hindsight, in recent times, the atmosphere surrounding Nltp is becoming more unnerving and a little open that now people are starting to talk about it, and the topic is now being looked at upon not just in social or moral angles, but now even encompassing socio-economic lines. Now, when I say people, it is our Naga leaders and our Naga organizations. In this special segment, I would like to bring in the forefront the various Naga leaders that have, with all the hostility surrounding the said act, shared their insight and perspectives in the public domain, and which the ordinary Nagas could see, hear and listen with openness, I think for the first time. Over the past few months, various ground realities and conditions of our Nagaland government schools have come out in the public domain, with some schools not even having proper classrooms on the one hand, and then on the other hand, school intended buildings being built but still standing without any sign or sight of school children. In this regard, it was in the month of June in 2022 when the then advisor for school education and SCRT and present advisor for food and civil supply and metrology, KT Sukalu, in a move which was never quite seen in Nagaland, first raked up the Nltp Act during a one-day consultative meeting on school education program and spoke on the poor infrastructure of government schools and suggested lifting Nagaland Liquor Total Prohibition Act and how the revenue generated could be used for development of healthcare facilities and education sector. We need good infrastructure for our schools. Today we are giving you so many equipments, smart equipments for smart classrooms, computers, but what's the point of giving all this without proper infrastructure? He lamented.
The infrastructure of our schools are very, very poor. I've been wondering, thinking, in what way we can improve the infrastructure. So, it may not sound very good to many of us here, but I am thinking of talking to my Chief Minister that prohibition should be lifted and the revenue that we get from prohibition should be, in education and healthcare. We need good infrastructure for our schools. Today we are giving you so many equipments, smart classrooms. They're giving you computers. Now, Abelu was giving a presentation about no electricity. I wish we had good electricity in our school. Unless we have proper infrastructure, what is the purpose of giving you all the computers, all the smart TVs, all the digital equipments? Things will just get misplaced. And there are reports that I have received, though unofficial, that the officers on their retirement take it away. That should not be the practice among us.
Somehow we want our children to get the best facilities in school, be it government or private. Yet we complain when leaders propose such preposterous ideas that might just be the best and fastest solution to our demands. On the other side of the prohibition, the availability and sale of adulterated liquor has also been a matter of growing concern, where many people in the state have died due to consuming such adulterated alcohol. In this regard, MLA Moatushi, who is the present advisor for excise, labor, employment and skill development, on the sidelines of the Thanksgiving program on being selected to the 14th Nagaland Legislative Assembly, without mincing any words, said that Nltp, you either have to relax it or enforce it. We cannot be lukewarm in this matter. Nagaland is a resource crunch state, and the budding business ecosystem in Khatkati is mushrooming because of us and for us. This could have come to government coffer. Those people who drink will drink, but let them drink good wine and alcohol not those adulterated ones, he said.
See, Nltp Act, we have to either enforce it or relax it. We cannot be lukewarm. If we have to relax it, we have to relax it. Otherwise, we have to enforce it. That is my point of view.
Given a choice, would you want it lifted?
Yes, I believe this, our state is a resource crunch state. And you see all this khatkati, all are mushrooming because of us, for us. This would have come to our government coffer. Now those people who drinks will always drink. Let them drink good wine, good alcohol, not adulterated.
So does it mean that you support it?
I do support, yes,
You mean support lifting of prohibition?
yes.
Honest and bold opinion, but I guess only for a select few. Now there are various sections that sincerely believe that the Nltp Act should stay, but are left disheartened over enforcing and implementation of the Act. In this regard, Nagaland Baptist Church Council General Secretary Reverend Dr. Zelio Keo, while speaking to Hornbill TV about the very existence of Nltp Act, said that the Nltp Act was beautifully drafted, but it was the implementation part that we are lagging. Immediately, we will talk about revenue, the evil that it brings, where the church is also blamed for contributing to the evils in society. When it is misunderstood, it can be presented that way. But what the church has been saying is that let us have an iron will and implement it seriously and see, he said.
Actually, the struggle of this control system began 60 years ago, or over 60 years ago. But then 30 years after that struggle, the Act was implemented, and the assurance of the government came in '89, and officially it was enacted as an Act in 1990. And if we look at the Act, I think it was a beautifully drafted Act. And many people do not go through the Act and then they just talk about a dry state, and then we become, there is a factor of those who will say it should be lifted, and then there is another group who will say that the Act should be implemented. And I think that is where the church, the position of the church stands. You know, the Act itself, if it is not implemented, it's like a paper tiger, you know. It's beautifully drafted, but the implementation part is something that we are lagging. Immediately we will talk about the revenue. Immediately we'll talk about the evil that are happening, and then the church is also blamed as if we are contributing to the evils in the society. But when it is misunderstood, it can be presented that way. But I think what the church has been saying is this: let us for once have an iron will and implement it and see. Because without implementation, if we just begin to discuss, start talking about lifting based on revenue, you know, we will not know the failure and also the success of the Act.
Now, the question of implementation is a rational and important perspective to be looked at, and it will solely and sincerely depend on the law enforcing agencies. But is it too late already? Echoing the concerns of advisor Moatushi, NPF Legislative Party leader Kuzuluzo Nenu, while speaking to Hornbill TV a few months back, also said that you either totally implement it or lift it. I have always been against this act from day one. Nltp Act is a complete failure, and number two, it has done more harm than good, he said. Forget about the price. The liquor you get is adulterated, it will cost you your life, and when you try to ban it again, drug users are increasing. I am for lifting the act, he said.
Nltp Act. From day one, I've been against this act. It is either two ways. One, lift it, or total prohibition. It's either one. If you're going to implement it, it's nothing like total prohibition. If you can really implement it, we are a Christian state. But if you cannot lift it, if you cannot ban it, then the only option is lift it, isn't it? And to be very frank, this Nltp Act is a failure, number one. Number two, it has done more harm than good. In many ways, let me not elaborate. For example, the price. You go to Assam, a bottle may cost you 80 rupees, but here it's around 400, double or triple. Forget about the price. The liquor you get is adulterated. It's going to cost your life. If it doesn't take your life, you're going to be hospitalized. And for drinking that, you're going to spend lakhs and lakhs of money in the hospital for treatment. Isn't it? And now because of this, once we try to ban it again, drug users are increasing. So many side effects have. So for me, I don't drink. And when I don't drink, people will think that he'll be for total ban. But no, I am for lifting the ban.
Now, with the civil society organizations of Dimapur, led by the Naga Council Dimapur, in a representation to the Nagaland Governor La Ganesan, stated that the entire CSOs of Dimapur aspire to lift the Nltp Act 1989 from the district with proper mechanism. The question now is, do we as a society move forward with making new laws to curb the evils of today, such as rampant use of drugs amongst the youth, and of which several reports of drug use or sale or even drugs related crime is increasing? Or do we become mature as a society and maybe opt to change our perspective over how the essential sectors of our society like health, education is focused on for the future of our children? Cutting across moral lines is the question, because Nagaland is a resource crunch state. Goodbye.